Hello everyone and welcome back to another review. This time an interesting 2-in-1 game pack featuring Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury, both being excellent 3D platformers. Now 3D World has a larger focus on multiplayer gameplay since it can be played by up to 4 people at the same time locally. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with playing it as a single player game. So I actually beat both games. So first I'm going to start with a discussion or impressions on Super Mario 3D World, which if you're a longtime viewer of my channel, you might remember that it was actually my game of the year back when it was released in 2013. And yes, that means that I placed it higher on my personal list over other fantastic games that came out that year, including BioShock Infinite and The Last of Us. I remember thinking back then that either BioShock or Last of Us was going to easily get my number one choice for that year, but after playing 3D World, I was blown away at how fun and well designed it was. I absolutely loved the variety in the levels, the colorful graphics, tight, gameplay that establishes an interesting blend of 3D, 2D, and isometric platforming, creating a very unique Mario experience that, for me personally, it's kind of like the next gen version or modern version of the classic 2D side-scrolling Mario games from the NES and Super Nintendo era. So 3D World, for the Wii U, truly evoked strong and magical emotions of playing a fun game with a smile on my face the whole time that I personally did not experience to that extent since probably another Mario game, which was Super Mario World in the early 90s. So hence why it became my game of 2013 over other blockbuster titles. So I will leave a link to my 2013 review of the game below for you guys to check out. But strictly speaking of these Switch version, which I was very excited to play the game because I haven't actually played 3D World since 2013. So I love that game so much that I was obviously excited to play the Switch version. And this particular version has some very good changes, and unfortunately one bad change in my opinion. So the good changes revolve around slightly better graphics thanks to the power of the Switch over the Wii U, obviously. Quality of life improvements in terms of controls, since the Wii U tablet features are not here. And I believe the Switch version has online co-op, which admittedly I did not try. However, the one negative I found with 3D World for the Switch was that the game is actually this is actually a big disappointment in a way for me. And this is the addition of this kind of like native turbo speed for all the characters in the game. For whatever reason, this is forced upon the player and characters in the Switch version, which they can run much faster than the Wii U version. The change is physics based, so a higher player speed also affects jumping and climbing. So, for example, every time you execute a jump at full speed, you're gonna jump a much longer distance. And for climbing, for example, with your cat suit, the climbing is extended because you're going faster, and therefore you can reach higher places easier. So this may not seem so bad at first glance, especially if you enjoy speed running, for example. But the problem is that levels were designed in the original Wii U game with a different speed and in turn, different physics altogether. So the platforming is very, very off in this Switch version. I cannot count the times that I jumped past platforms and died in this game, as well as just struggling landing the jumps on top of enemies to get rid of them. So it really becomes more and more frustrating the farther you progress in the game, since the platforming and enemies become a bigger challenge. Bigger challenge. The more you progress through the game. The worst part is that you cannot turn this off, or at least I was not able at the time I completed the game sometime last year in 2021. So it blows my mind that Nintendo did not add an option to use the original physics. Like, I'm not opposed to providing a turbo mode for speedrunners, but for, I guess, purists of the 3D World, Wii U game itself, like myself, please give us the option to turn the speed boost off. So besides that very obvious annoyance, 3D World remains a top-notch Mario 3D platformer with colorful graphics that are bolstered by impeccable frame rate and improved resolution in the Switch version. So a fantastic soundtrack and a great variety in terms of level design and ways to play the levels, since each of the 4 characters have their own play styles. So ultimately, I think if you have a Wii U and you have this game, I recommend playing this title in that system. But if not, not a big deal. The Switch version is still a fantastic 3D platformer. But I couldn't help but notice the big change in gameplay due to the speed boost in a negative way. Now let's talk about the pleasant surprise of this title, which is the packing game of Bowser's Fury. This is another 3D platformer that focuses on single-player gameplay, although a second player can help with some minor things. Bowser's Fury basically uses the same graphics as 3D World, but the overall tone and setting of the game is a little bit different, as well as the gameplay. Bowser's Fury is a little bit more of a standard 3D platformer, a Mario title in the same vein as, for example, Mario 64 or Mario Sunshine, giving players more freedom and non-sequential exploration and progress. Bowser's Fury is also a new adventure built from the ground up. This was not available on the Wii U. This is a brand new adventure for the Nintendo Switch. It's on the shorter side. I think, it probably takes around 5 hours to complete, or maybe less, if you rush through it. But in Bowser's Furies, players are basically transported to a lake, Lapcat, I believe it's called, where you have to face with a new threat of a new type of Bowser, which is the Fury Bowser, which is a larger version of the already well-known villain of the Mario series. You as a player have to collect cat shines to access the Giga Bell, which is transforms Mario into a giant cat capable of doing damage to these huge version of Fury Bowser. So that's an interesting take. It's almost like an upscaled boss battle that is just fantastic. It's kind of like Mario combined with Godzilla, if you will. The cool thing about Bowser's Fury is that it takes place in this very large water open world setting with no defined levels. It's just a whole bunch of small islands. So throughout the new adventure, you're also joined by Bowser Jr., who is actually trying to help you basically help you on your quest to stop his crazy dad in this version. So Bowser Jr. is here to help you, and he can assist you by collecting coins, uncovering secret areas, and also hitting enemies with his paintbrush. A second player can join, as I mentioned before, to control Bowser Jr. So there's a co-op element in it, but it's not full-fledged like in 3D World, where you can actually fully control a second character. The game also has amiibo, features and compatible with other amiibos. So if you're into that, you can get some cool and nifty features. But overall, I think the structure of Bowser's Fury, it's great. That providing that open world setting really provided a lot of variety, in my opinion. In terms of 3D World, again, it's more of a sequential game. It's more of the natural progression from a 2D Mario platformer, whereas Bowser's Fury takes a little bit more into the open world 3D platforming mechanics of Mario 64 and Mario Sunshine. So it's pretty cool that this package, 2 games in one, gives players the options to try both games from the get-go. You can play Bowser's Fury directly if you want to, but I had to play 3D World first because that's just a favorite of mine. As I mentioned, it was my game of the year in 2013, and Bowser's Fury, as a standalone title, I think it's a very solid 3D platforming game that it's worth a try if you're into platforming games, especially the Mario games. I think this game has nothing to shy upon other offerings from the 3D Mario games. So with that being said, make sure you try these games out if you're into the Mario games, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all later. Take it easy.